clubs, whatever, you couldn't build. Let's see here. Tommy, man, how you doing? I got an echo.
I'm good, buddy. Do I have an echo on my side too? Am I echoing?
You sound wonderful.
It's one of those weird things. I sometimes I think if you go in and just sort of like change some of the audio settings or something in Clubhouse, then it might fix that. I totally think it's a gremlin in Clubhouse. I don't think it has anything to do with us.
Weird, man. So now I don't hear an echo. Talk again, my friend.
Yeah, now you're all good. There's no echo now. Who knows?
Who knows, man? That's why we call this Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Hey, I see Holly, my buddy Jim Ajay. How you doing? This is Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. We're going to talk about challenges and problem solving. We're going to talk about Tom. The other day, somebody said it takes them 2 hours to do a video, and we both got that sparked both of our piqued both of our interest, and we wanted to know more, and we really dug into that. So tell us how your shoot went the other day. You had all of a sudden last week you were planning your shoot, 3-crew shoot over the weekend, and then a 3-crew production. Then all of a sudden you lost one of your cameramen the last day. So that got us thinking about problem solving challenges, just any challenge anybody's having in media, publishing, sharing your story. If you're having a challenge, ask the question. But Tom, how did it go? Did you figure it all out, or did you give up?
Of course, we didn't give up. At the end of the day, look, we've got an obligation to hold up our end of the bargain with our clients, right? And so, of course, we hit roadblocks. It's one of those things I tell people all the time. Have said this for years, that there's never been a shoot planned, executed, filmed, however you want to say it, that didn't have something go wrong, right? It is I think innate to anything you plan, right? Any project you plan for, anything you put a lot of planning into, there's always something is going to go not how you expect it to go. And that's just how it goes. That's just the reality of work and life, right? It's that guy Murphy, right? And his stupid law drives me nuts sometimes. I'm pumping my fist for anybody just listening and not watching. But yeah, so on Wednesday morning, while we were in the room, actually, I got a text message that unfortunately one of the guys we had hired to be one of the camera operators on this shoot had unfortunately gotten injured. He was at the hospital, and so he wasn't going to be able to do the job, to be on the shoot. So first thing I said, obviously, was, I hope he's okay. And then the second thing I said was, we'll find somebody. That's literally the text that I sent. Like, I really hope he's okay. No problem. We'll find somebody. Right. So, the local folks up in the shoot was up in Boston, in Cambridge, actually. And Joyce, I didn't get your back channel until like literally yesterday. So, but thank you for that. Total aside, but for anybody who tries to reach out to me, always hit me up on like Instagram, because Clubhouse floods me with notifications if I leave them turned on. So I always have them off. So definitely hit me up on Instagram. But anyway, yeah, so I started reaching out to folks up in Boston, some local folks, some folks that I've known for years. And sure enough, in a matter of hours, I had somebody locked in who had all the sort of requisite skill sets, had come highly recommended by somebody I know that I've worked with before. And we were all good to go. We were back on track. So something always will go wrong, right? You just have to know that, be prepared for it. And when it does happen, have the confidence in yourself, in your abilities, your skill set, and your preparation for the project that you'll be able to overcome that obstacle, right? So like, it never even crossed my mind that we weren't going to get a replacement, right? It never even occurred to me that wasn't going to happen. I literally went straight from, we need a replacement, to, how do we find a replacement, to executing on the strategies that I thought of on how to find that replacement. And we found a replacement. Right. So like it never even occurred to me that it wasn't going to happen. And I used to use this phrase all the time, especially talking to younger folks on productions, people who were PAs, production assistants, who it was like, early days of their career, maybe first set they were on. And we would come up against a seemingly insurmountable problem. And they would come to me and they go, Tom, we got this happening. I don't know what to do. And I would always say, take a deep breath. We'll figure it out. It's going to happen because it has to. It's going to get done because it has to. Right. And like, if you have that in your mind, like it's going to get done because it has to get done, then one way or another, you figure out how to get it done. Right. And with experience, you get better and better at that. So I had another like personal issue that happened when I was up in Boston too. The brakes on my truck actually went bad. There was a fail. One of the front calipers failed on the drive up there. So here I am, 20 minutes outside of Boston, in Waltham, Massachusetts, at the hotel with a truck that I can't drive into the city the next day. And I have a whole bunch of gear in the truck and I have to get to the shoot. So what do? I take a deep breath. I start thinking about, I actually went for a run. I start thinking about, how am I going to fix this? What am I going to do? Right. So I get up in the morning, I go for a run. I'm like, well, first of all, I got to get it fixed. So I get back from the run. I find a garage, I find a place where I can get it fixed. And then I'm like, okay, how am I going to get to the city? Well, I had a crew of like 11 people working on this shoot. Somebody's got to live somewhere close to where I am. Right. So I called up the assistant camera guy, the AC. His name's Ryan. Called him up and said, hey, Ryan, any chance you're anywhere close to Waltham? And he said, actually, I'm about 20 minutes away. What's up? I told him what was going on. And I said, do you have space in your car? We can get my gear in there. And he said, yeah, I've got space in my car. We'll figure it out. And so he said, what time do you need me to pick you up? And I said, this time. And of course, I reimburse him. I'm going to reimburse him for his mileage and all that good stuff. Any extra expenses he had incurred because of this, because it's not his fault, right? He shouldn't have to pay for it. But at the end of the day, all I had to do was take a deep breath and think about it. First person I reached out to was like, sure, no problem, I can help. And then we were off to the races. So I had no truck. At the end of the day, he drove me back out. We picked my truck up. It was all fixed and we were all good for the rest of the weekend. So you just have to have that in the back of your mind. Like, it's going to happen because it has to. Just take a deep breath. Give yourself a minute to collect your thoughts. Don't get caught in that spiral of, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, and have confidence that you can figure it out. And you will. So that's what we want to talk about today. That was a crazy long intro. So thank you.
No, man, that's good. We like to hear from Tom. So we need to know the backstory. And so many people get caught up in this doomsday. It's the end of the world. The other day I was somewhere and I lost my computer, my main computer with everything on it. Since the last time we talked, I'm like, I thought somebody stole it. I went to a Sheetz, which is a gas station, and I made them replay back they went in the back. I'm like, I know where I was placed, but it's not the end of the world, right? Like, so now I'm thinking like, okay, how am I going to handle it? What do I have? Did I have everything backed up on flash drive? Had I emailed it to myself? Had I done this? Had I done that? And it turned out that it was in an office that I had been to earlier in the day. So, but it was a day later. It changed things around. I was scared. I'm like, okay, I just need to check one more place, right? I was going back through every place I could have been where I thought I left it at. And no, all of a sudden I was able to find it. It wasn't the end of the world. I love this idea that Tom, it has to happen because it has to happen, right? It's going to happen because it has to happen. The show must go on. It is not the end of the world. You have to show up. Part of winning, part of moving forward, to give you a little motivation, is showing up, right? When everybody thinks you can't, when the sky is falling, showing up day after day is what it's all about, incremental growth. And then you overcome some of the biggest obstacles just by being there, by not giving up. So, Jamie, we're going to meet some people. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're going to talk, Jamie, obstacles, challenges, anything that you're going through right now, something you want to address, a tip for overcoming obstacles or challenges. It's on you. Then we're going to meet our friend Joyce, Dr. Tachi, Alexandra Satva's in the house, Holly's around, Prof T, Chili in Philly. We got Johnny and Jimmy down there. So anybody, that's what we got. Jamie, pleasure. What do you got for us?
Good morning, everybody. Jamie Hill, obstacle queen. I'm 46. I have many years of obstacles, and I love what you guys said. Yeah, you just got to do it, right? Life goes on. And, I lost my dad, I lost my brother. There's been a lot of deaths in my life. And, you got to just keep going and life goes on. And that sort of taught me to apply that to other things, the simpler things. Yeah, your car. So I get flat tires. So, life's got to go on. I'm not going to panic on the side of the road. I'm, give my friend a call and deal with it. Um, deal with it is something my stepdad used to tell me, and I don't know if this is Canadian or not, but get her done is something we say, and we just help each other with funny little slangs like that. Um, even the word focus is just something that my supports and I do together to help each other one step at a time. And, that's really what life is. Each day is just one step at a time. You plan all these big things. I have so many plans, you guys, with Skinnamarink doing what it did and all these neat conventions to come. My biggest hurdle is trying to figure out how to pay for the visa, this work visa. It's amazing how much money it is. But I really want to come down and socialize and, sign my name on the DVD. But I wanna make sure it's all done right and in time, but holy cow, it's gotta get done. So I keep going. I'm networking, I'm finding letters of intent and, slowly the money, I gotta earn it. So I find ways to earn it, and yeah, I gotta get her done. It just comes back to gotta get her done. Anyways, I'm Jamie Hill.
Jamie, how much is a visa and where are you coming from? Canada?
I'm in Canada. They told me about $8,000.
So anytime you come to work, no matter how long it is, can you just come temporarily? We're problem solving here. So I just want to know because I don't know this answer. So let's say you were a tourist. Can you just attend something or anytime you're making
I
money?
can attend,
But
but
once,
technically,
okay,
no business meetings because that would be business.
interesting. Okay.
So and I want to go visit. I can. I can simply just go visit and meet everyone. But, the DVD comes out in June.
So
I
you
really
could
wanted
come
to
visit,
sign
you
it.
could sign, but you can't get necessarily paid for that
I'm
because
not allowed
it's
to get paid for it.
okay. Interesting. Okay. So they're paying you for the appearance. Okay, I got another question, Jamie. Show goes on. If you're a voiceover artist, so what happens when you have like a sore throat or something like that, and like the shoot is, or you're supposed to go into the room and record or however that works, and all of a sudden you have the world's worst sore throat or you're sick. What do you do?
Oh gosh. Well, the best thing to do is shut up immediately and then, start writing some emails to the people I need to talk to because they need to know I don't have the voice. What can I do? Take a magic pill? So you got to talk to the people you're working with right away and let them know as soon as you could. There's not a lot you could do in that very moment, be quiet for 3 hours, see what happens, and yeah, I like my hot water and honey, different soothing stuff for your throat. Yeah. PA work. I have also been a production assistant on lots of stuff in Alberta here, and that's where I came down with COVID. So I had a backup. I have a backup PA list of friends that will step in for me if they're not working and be a PA. I plan that, because you don't know. Does that help? Is that a good answer? What you mean?
Yeah, you planning for it. We're talking about
Pre-plan. Yep.
overcoming these challenges, pre-planning. Okay, like Tom was saying, his experience has told him this, and okay, deep breath. Went for. I thought it was funny in the time of complete where things where the sky could have fell. This is classic. He's like, I went for a run. Like, well, what are you doing out on mile 10? It was probably not a short run either. How many miles was it, Tom?
It was a little over 6. It was just an hour. But it was no, like, here's the thing. We all have ways of sort of clearing our heads, focusing in on some mental acuity, kind of the sort of mental health breaks, right? I was talking about this with a group of peers yesterday in a meeting. We were talking about sort of like how we take mental health breaks and the things that we do to sort of keep ourselves grounded, right, and focused, and all of those kind of things. And running or exercise for me is one of them. Like this morning, I spent an hour on the bike before this, indoors on the trainer. It's cold right now, and I'm just getting back into cycling. I've been running a ton. So indoors on the trainer, I spent an hour on the bike. And then after this, I'm around lunchtime, I'm going to hop on my rower and do 30 minutes on the rower because it's too cold to go outside and swim right now. But like that hour and a half that I'm going to spend today exercising is like the best thing I could do for my mental health. It makes me not just more calm and gives me the ability to sort of relax, take a breath, and solve problems with a clear head. But it also makes me more focused when I need to be, right? So those little breaks, whatever the magic sauce is for you. For me, it's going for a run or getting out on my bike or, things like that. That kind of helps clear my mind and let me think through a problem strategically and rationally. Because at the end of the day, when I'm 3 miles from my house, or I'm, out on my bike 10 miles from my house or something like that, there's nothing I can do in the moment. So all I can do is plan and strategize, right? So it takes that pressure off. It gets you out of the situation where you don't feel like I have to do it. I have to fix it right now. I have to fix it right now. Like getting caught in that loop of pressure. It eases that pressure. And because there's nothing I can do, like I can't start calling people while I'm out for a run or out on my bike, right? I can't text people to try to find a replacement camera operator or figure out how to get my truck fixed and get my gear to location the next morning, right? I can't do those things if I'm out running or riding on my bike or something like that, or swimming, right? None of those things are options. So it gives me that breath, right? That pause. It's how I hit pause, right? So whatever it is, go for a walk, right? Make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, right? Grab a snack, like whatever it is for you that gives you that ability to pause, step away from the situation for a moment and think with a clear head. That's what I think you should do. And that's what I'm doing when I'm out for a run, right? I just happen to be a lunatic, and like 6 miles is running 6 miles is relaxing for me, right? Because I'm nuts. But figure out what your nuts is, right? Like my nuts is going out for a run or going for a ride. What's your nuts? What's your particular thing that gives you that pause?
Good stuff,
I got
Tom.
something here. Oh,
Hey,
Dominic,
Satva,
go
I
ahead.
was coming to you. What do you got, Satva?
Yeah, these are fun stories. So I have a really fun story. I was escorting. Okay, so it's called private vehicle escort operations in the specialized freight industry. And I was coming from, I believe it was Long Beach, California, and I was delivering some 79, I think it's called 794 dump truck. It's one of those big Caterpillar dump truck. A bunch of tires, one of those dump truck tires. And we were in Ely, Nevada, and I hit a cow. It was just getting dark, and I hit this cow, and I thought I had hit something else. And I'm sitting here. I had just had my van rebuilt like 1 month before because I just hit a deer in Marinette, Michigan. And I'm like, oh, please, no. So I had a bunch of gear. I had a bunch of stuff in my van to rebuild it on the fly. And I did kind of once I got to the Loves on, I believe it was US 6 in Ely, Nevada. Well, this state trooper pulls up and he's looking at my van. And I'm just like, why is he here? You know, I didn't know nothing really about Nevada. He comes up to me. Yeah, I got a report about a hit and run. I was like, a hit and run? What? He was like, yeah, a hit and run. You hit somebody's livestock. I'm gonna need your license and registration. I'm like, why do you need my license and registration? That cow should have been behind a fence. And they said, no, there's open range laws here, and that's someone's property, so we have to bill it to your insurance. So not only did I not get the meat from the cow, not only did I have to pay for my damages on my van, I just had like a total moment of fast lessons the hard way by fire. I was so irritated, and I realized, okay, man, you got two options. You can pull the plug on this load and, you know, forfeit the rest of your purse on this contract, or you could just roll the dice and put this van back together. I had a TPM, which is it's the computer for the vehicle. It had gotten ripped a little bit, and I put a new one on there. And we went back and we got on I-80 and we're cruising through Utah. We stop at the scale house, and the officer comes out. He's like, dude, what happened to your van? I was like, man, I hit a cow. They're like, all right, well, where are you going? Bingham Canyon. All right, just go on ahead and get there. So I got there. I had another contract. Within 3 days, I had to go back to Kingman, Arizona to take something all the way over to, I forget where it was going. There were some wind energy rings for those big turbines. I had that contract. So I had busted all of the motor mounts on my van. I had to rebuild the whole front end. So I get on the horn. I finished the load successfully, which was awesome. I get on the horn. I'm starting to call all these parts dealers. So I'm like, okay, so what's the closest and cheapest place? Phoenix, Arizona. Hot. So hot. And I had to rebuild this van in the heat. It was a nightmare. It was totally a nightmare. But I knew, and going to your point, Tom, I knew that this had to be done. Like I knew like this had to be done, and I did it. And that was that. So in that sense, yeah, guys, if you're traveling through Nevada or any open range area, just be mindful. If you hit a cow, you're going to have to pay for it. That's what I got. Thanks, guys.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, brother. And you may be that you are now the first person I have met who ran over a cow. So if anybody else has ever ran over a cow, flash your mic. No, you could go in every room and ask that question. Have you ever ran over a cow?
That's awesome.
Yeah, you hold that. All right. Hey, Joyce, you're struggling with challenges. You're not, you may be. Is there a challenge, whether it's with media, publishing, your podcast, that we can tackle today, help overcome, or a question you want to ask, or a tip? It's maybe somebody else is dealing with somebody you already overcame. Go on. And Tom, hold on. Tom flashed off. What do you want to
I mean, just a funny aside. I was going to say I've run from cows. I've never run one over, but I've run from cows. When I was a kid, we were up visiting some family friends in Vermont who had a dairy farm, and they sent me out to put some feed out for some of the cows. And I had no idea that they were going to come a-running when they heard the feed bucket. So I got into the pasture, and I'm about 100 yards from the fence, and I don't know, 9 years old, something like that. And I got this feed bucket, and they told me, oh, just jiggle the bucket and call the cows and they'll come to you. And so they did. And they, there's a bunch of 1,000-pound animals, and they came running at me, and I did not expect that. And I turned around and ran holding the bucket. And sure enough, they're just chasing me and they're gaining on me because I'm 9 years old and they're cows, and cows are faster than 9-year-olds, if you didn't know. And so I'm getting chased by these cows, and the farmer is on the other side of the fence, dying laughing because it's a bunch of cows. They're not going to hurt me. They just want the feed that's in the bucket. So he's dying laughing. And in between his like laughing hysterically, he finally finds enough breath to yell, "Drop the bucket." So I sprinted for like 50 yards, thinking I'm going to get trampled to death by these cows, like panicked as a 9-year-old. And he finally gets out, "Drop the bucket." I dropped the bucket and turn around and look, and sure enough, the cows aren't chasing me anymore. They're all just gathered around the feed spilled out on the ground around that bucket. And then he was like, "All right, now just dump the rest of the feed out and go pick the bucket up and bring it back over here." And they were fine. And, I was petting them, and they were like, licking me and, all that kind of stuff. And it ended up being hilarious. But there were a couple of moments where I thought that was going to be the end of 9-year-old Tom being trampled to death by a bunch of cows in a field in Vermont.
Are you still having traumatic reflashes? Some drawback memories?
No, I think I think I've gotten over it. I haven't fed any cows lately, but I've been in pastures with cows since then, and I've managed to overcome the trauma from that incident. But I just had this.
For you, Tom.
Thanks. I just have this image of the farmer laughing so hard that he couldn't breathe as I was being chased by the cows, and finally getting enough breath to be able to tell me to drop the bucket. And that was yeah. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there because
if you guys didn't know it before, if you're joining us for the first time, we officially have the weirdest room around. So this is not the smartest guys in the room. We talk all things media, publishing. We talk cows. We talk zombies. We talk John Wick. You never know. We talk fried chicken. There's a lot of weird stuff on here. So yeah, there you go. Joyce, what do you got for us today?
Wow, that was funny. I have no cow stories. That. All right, Tom, I am so sorry I missed you. I'm not that far from Waltham. I would have picked you up, but next time. And that's like good mom advice. Stay calm, do what needs to be done. Just stay focused. Like my biggest issue now is my daughter is graduating from college in Arizona. We've got a lot of little things going on, just getting her back from Arizona. If you're a parent, just like I'm kind of a consultant in her life now. She's almost 22. But I do feel the need to still give her advice and try to solve her problems. So that's that. And, when I need to get out of my head, I do tennis, walking, cycling, all the things, to focus, and, cannabis, obviously, is part of that. And let's see, what else? Issues, podcasting. I'm never going to make money at this the way I'm going, but I'm trying to expand who I am to be, I don't know, an image of a person who uses cannabis that people don't think about, and we're a big market. So again, I talk about women, I talk about our health and wellness, I talk about the idea that our only options were always, pharmaceuticals or alcohol or suffer through it, which we don't need to do anymore. So I'm trying to get out there and talking more and going to events and promoting the stories I like to promote. And I think that's my biggest issue. Oh, and I had this, I've been talking about this, the publishing, Dom. I have my cannabis romance novel that I've been working on, and I just really believe this is a new genre, so I'm excited.
Hey, that's all good stuff, and let's dig in on this making money from a podcast. So that's why I pinged you up there, Johnny and Dr. Tachi, Julie. I know you guys focus in on that a lot. So Joyce, by day, is the podcast your day job? Is there another job? Is there another way you make income? Do you need to make income somewhere? Go on.
So, my whole long, complicated story is that I'm a woman who is having difficulty monetizing her time, despite the fact that I'm a lawyer and have urban policy degrees and a lot of experience, because I dared to take time off when my children were young to care for them. And it's been a nick against me for a long time. So it's been this weird journey. So when I got into podcasting and cannabis in 2017, 18, it really was to make money. That was the idea. I was working for a media company. They were doing the podcast, and then I've become an advocate. So everyone should be, the issue with being monetized for your time, especially as a woman, an educated woman, a woman of my generation, is that if you don't get paid for what you do, it's like it's valueless. So all the stuff that we do all the time, all the things we do for the PTA and our volunteer work, although it is a very important work, it diminishes us because we're not paid money. And I can't even get to like what the money thing means. Maybe it's freedom, maybe it's whatever. So that's kind of where I am. So this podcast was supposed to be something that was monetizable. I am now in a position where I think I'm going to end because it's become sort of an expensive hobby. I've had a really hard time getting partners this season. I am working with someone who believes in me. I met her she's a saleswoman in media who met me at an event, and she's trying to set up this idea again. Like, the podcast is a traffic driver, but how do I expand my brand so that I can spread this message? And how do we make money off of this? And, I'm not talking about getting rich. I'm talking about feeling like it's valued, because money in our culture, we are free market fundamentalist people here in America. Money is valuable and freedom. And then if we don't get paid, it's like it's not valuable. So that's the story. That's where I am.
Okay, we are going to dig into this. This is a great topic. And so just let me ask, like, since you're trained as a lawyer and things like that, is it passion-based the reason why you don't go back into practicing law, or is it just
so I was a family law attorney. I was a divorce attorney. I sucked at it. I actually took when I was going through some career transitioning, I did some testing, and my career therapist person was like, wow, you really couldn't have picked a job that was worse for you than family law attorney. And I'm like, yes, I'm terrible at it. And when I went into cannabis, the idea was to go into cannabis law. That's how this journey started. But I ended up working in the podcasting, and I like what I'm doing. I like this advocacy. I like my voice. Like, I like the idea that I can be this person who can talk about it. I like to do policy work. I've been talking to people at the federal level. This is serious stuff. I do kid around. I think laughter is really important. I think these entertainment stories are very important to engage with people, but this is a serious subject. And, I'm a serious person at the bottom of it, but I can do both.
Okay, so now here's how I'm going to, because I know this is going to get people started here. So I am going to call, you flash your mic, but how Joyce can make money in podcasting. Maybe she needs to set up events afterwards. Maybe it's just sponsoring. So John, Dr. Tachi, whoever wants to flash, but I think this is so prevalent to so many people. Let's dig in on it. So Johnny, go on.
Good morning, friends and foes. My name is John Pica, prophet of pop culture. You can call me Johnny, and I am the host of the Back of the Cereal Box podcast. So, Joyce, that's the first thing I want to ask about you is, you said you have a podcast about cannabis, and you talked a lot about the podcast, but I never once heard you mention the title of that podcast. To monetize a podcast, that podcast title has got to be on your lips and in your mouth constantly. So what is the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called The Canna Mom Show.
All right. So now everyone who just heard that, go give a listen to Joyce's podcast, whether you're into cannabis or not. Let's support our community. But yes, you can monetize, and there's a lot of different ways. And this is a huge, huge subject. It's a big, deep well, but you can get advertisers, you can get affiliate sponsors, you can do live events. I do live events. Look, I have sponsors that pay for ads. I have affiliate sponsored partnerships that we get a trickle of income from. We have listener support that's a trickle of income, but the big money for me comes from live events. We take the podcast on the road to festivals and conventions in our niche, in the pop culture realm, and I leverage the podcast to get paid to appear as an MC, as panelists, workshop leaders, and also to sell our own merchandise. I have my own merchandise, and we advertise it on the show and sell it at live events. That's how we monetize. And again, it's a huge subject that takes an entire room, really, an entire series of rooms to dig into. But yeah, you've got some people on stage right now, like Julie and John Wiley, who they can help crack this code for you.
Okay, let's dig in a little more. So, Julie, John, let's go. Julie, would you like to dig in on that? Can somebody make money from their podcast, or what are the first steps? I'm always, so I will tell everybody here, I'm always a low hanging fruit. What's the low hanging fruit that you're not doing right now that she could be making money, like by tomorrow she could be making money? Or is there something she could do? So, Julie, go on.
Hi, everybody. And Joyce, the story resonates with me. And the idea of podcasting, I think about your podcast different. Yes, it's an excellent marketing arm. It's an excellent way to promote your business, but it gets very isolating and defeating when, you're looking at downloads and you're looking at, oh gosh, I can't get a huge sponsor like, I don't know, McDonald's for your midnight munchies. But the truth is that the whole game changed for me when I started being very strategic about the guests I had on here on my podcast. So let's think about it. Who is someone that you would like to partner with, collaborate with, or have as a sponsor? Can you name somebody just off the top of your head? Like your dream person.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg. I want to go and talk to Whoopi Goldberg about
Okay.
cannabis.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg. Okay. So you pitch her, you pander to her ego. You're going to put her on a platform where she can talk about her experiences as a mother, as a comedian, as a talk show host, but also start building that relationship because you're on her radar, you're in her ecosystem. It's about getting people into your ecosystem and seeing what you can do. And the thing is, it's not an immediate fix. It won't happen overnight. But if you are strategic, instead of just bringing every Tom, Dick, and Sally onto your podcast, you start to build a solid relationship with these people and say, oh, Whoopi, you're doing this concert. I would love to come and join you. Or I would love to share my experience the last time I emceed something, and it gets their attention. And it's not Whoopi Goldberg. She may introduce you to somebody else. When we focus on our downloads and just thinking linear, like in a linear fashion, meaning I need 5,000 downloads per episode to get a sponsor, it's not going to build you the revenue you need. I suggest think big, go home, just do it, see what happens, because it's amazing when you have a platform to edify other people that you potentially want to collaborate, sponsor, or partner with. It's a game changer. And I could go into explanations, but I'd love my fellow podcasters to add a little bit to that if they've had that experience.
Okay, hey, let's keep going. It says, John, if you want to add to this, go ahead. And
That's
then
where
I'd like to
substantial
jump in
monetization is.
quickly,
And really,
Joyce, and Julie's right on with everything she's saying. There's a company called 3Chi, CHI, that it sponsors a NASCAR team. So the harder it is to get in front of an audience where advertising is restricted, which cannabis is in the United States, there's a lot of guidelines, lots of rules, the easier it is to develop partnerships and advertiser and sponsorship and monetization. What needs to be done is two things, and I'm not doing this purposely to be negative. Number one, rebrand the name of your show. It's a singular topic. It's about you. It's about cannabis and a mom. So it's about mass appeal. Getting even a niche down topic, which is great. You want as many people that are interested in a topic to be able to listen. Number two, start developing strategic partnerships with other companies, other people that have really big social media presence, and allow them and get them to allow you to post your show on their page. And we'll start with Facebook. That's what I did. Right now, your Facebook page, I'm on it, has about 1,100 followers and 925 likes. One of the easiest ways to grow your page, and it takes time, is if you get your show on a page that has 1 million or 2 or 3 million followers, all of a sudden you're in front of a big audience. Then when you talk to potential advertisers, sponsors, whatever, you say, by the way, we have weekly reach of 3 million plus people. And it's not just about your amount of downloads. If you just go for downloads, it's about CPM. And most, if you're a smaller show, they're not going to want to have a conversation with you about baked in long-term ads where they pay bigger money. Now, having said that, I've been sponsored since about the 3rd month. Some months are really good. Some months are not so good. Next month looks like it's going to be our busiest month ever revenue-wise. But I've gotten the show on radio, and that's a primary driver because of reach. I've also got 5 pages that post my new episodes organically on their Facebook pages, and their total reach is about 1.5 million. So they love it because they don't have to put any man hours into it, no time. I just send them the information, and they post it when they have an opening. That's it. And it increases their engagement. That's where, and I can't see everything, Joyce, but that's where you're missing out. So when we have a title like the Can a Mom Show, it really narrows the potential listener down to a very small group. If you take it and you make it more expansive for people who are interested in that topic, then you can do self-promoting, self-advertising, make yourself look bigger, put in PSA spots, put in whatever. So you look like your show is highly sought after. But get in front of a large audience that people already work to build. And that'll be a big secret for growing your show and growing monetization. I'm out.
Hey, John, so let me jump in here. I want to quiz you on something. So let's say when you say get your show on somebody else's platform, somebody else's Facebook page, are you suggesting that they are going to share her link? Does she have to give them raw files? Would they share her YouTube videos? What would they do?
Here's what I do. I send them the caption I'm using and the link with the tracking code. And I send it to them on Messenger, and they post that organically in our page. That's all they do. It's quick and easy. It's no work for them. So they get a lot of expanded reach and engagement from the people who like and follow their page already. That's the number one goal for these page owners. Number 2 is, what do I post? Now, going back to that conversation about that page, there's one right now I'm looking at on Facebook. Cannabis Now magazine has 3.7 million followers. And right now, you go to their About section, and, well, actually, it's got an email address, customerservice@cannabisnow.com. I would start emailing them a brief template cover letter. And they won't respond right away, more than likely, and just say, hey, I've got a proposal. It's content for your Facebook page that can help engage your existing audience and grow your brand and make you more profitable. And it involves 0 man hours, 0 work. And see who replies back to you. Those who reply back to you, you start a conversation with and see if you can make it happen. But it's all done organically. No sharing, none of that stuff.
Brilliant, man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in on that. This is not the smartest guys in the room. And you see me and Tom sometimes in this room, we defer to the experts, man. That's the great thing. Every week we have people just starting out, or people that are syndicated, people that are sold millions of books, people that have been in video production for 20 years, people that have millions of views on their social media. So in this room, we used to say a lot, and we haven't said it for a while, that it's a safe place. Meaning, ask your question. We're not going to come down on you for asking your question. You know, there's other people thinking the same thing. We're not going to be hard on you. We're going to say, hey, well, let's dig into this. And this today, so we were talking about challenges and obstacles, and maybe we could add a few tips. And John, I'm telling you, I do on my show, Bikes and Hikes, as you're talking about, do it. We put it on YouTube. It airs on Armstrong in whatever states they air it in. I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't I ask a company that talks about bikes and biking that has millions of views to share it on their page?
Well, here's the problem with YouTube. Remember that Facebook and YouTube are kind of like arch enemies. So whenever you put a link on a post that takes them to an outside platform, your reach gets diminished tremendously. If it's YouTube, it is much, much less than other ones, because they don't want to send traffic to somebody perceived to be a competitor. So organic posting is always the way to go. Sharing from other places is not good for engagement and growth. It's not a good strategy, and most page owners won't do that.
Yeah, I wonder if I could get the actual like links to the raw files or something. Interesting. Thank you, brother. Okay, let's keep this roll. Okay, we're going to get to Dr. Tachi next, and we're going to ask questions. But today I'm busting out something earlier. This is for the live streamers. I've been showing weird things from around my office, things that make me smile. So here it is. This right here. If you're what we live stream this each week too. So Tom figures all that out, broadcasts us on all these different places. Today, this is my Michael Jordan. It's like I wouldn't call it a voodoo doll, but somebody bought it for me at one time. He's got this cool little jacket on here, and they just like, I think my mom gave it to me or something, but they just like put the stickers on. You see he's got shoelaces here. And again, Tom, he's got, like last week, you said my thing had little arms and somebody messed up doing the arms. So you see, he does have tiny arms and a little basketball sticking. I'm going to see what's on this side of the. And I asked my son the other day, I showed a Kobe Bryant Jack in the Box, and it doesn't do the wind up anymore. And his mini hoop is right by where I was displaying it. So I think he broke my Kobe Bryant Jack in the Box. I asked him about it yesterday, and he says that he didn't. He's like, oh, does that thing wind up and pop out? I'm like, yeah, it used to. He's like, oh, I don't know. But Michael Jordan, we are not going to call this a voodoo doll, but what would you call this, Tom?
I would call that an abomination. That is an insult to Michael Jordan.
It's like a beanbag too. It sits right like this. Look, come on. How could you?
Who made that thing?
Come on, look how cool
the face. Somebody. The face is like two dots made with a Sharpie for eyes. Does he even have a mouth?
No, it does not have a mouth.
Yeah, it's an abomination.
Man, come on. Somebody puts.
It's hilarious. I like it.
The jacket even zippers.
I like it. I'm not saying that it's not without its charm, but it is definitely not a good representation of Michael Jordan.
I've never unzipped this jacket till today, and what a treat! An extra Bulls logo right there. All right,
It looks like the project of a middle school art. Like it looks like the product of a middle school art project.
That's hurtful that you would say that. My mom bought this for me. It's beautiful, and it makes me smile.
I hope she didn't pay very much for it.
It's priceless. How dare you? I have all my memorabilia insured too. So that one there, priceless, baby. All right, Doc. I do. All right, Dr. Tachi, what do you got for us today? Come on. Tips, challenges, or you want to talk about Michael Jordan? Go on.
First of all, what the hell is wrong with his leg? I'm sorry. I'm looking at it on YouTube. Hold on, let me silence myself.
There's nothing wrong with his legs. There's her knees because it would hang like this.
Stop. Okay, wait, I've gathered myself.
Go on.
Thank you for that treat, though. It's very darling. Thank you. So I wanted to speak really quickly to this to Joyce. And first of all, what else can I add? Because Julie and John really hit the nail on the head with that one. They had excellent stuff. I was thinking about the concept of maybe sponsored content, meaning that you would have a couple of slots on your show that you could offer to cannabis-related things that you approved of, where you could like actually interview them and then charge for that. That's if you want to do that. But that's another way of doing that, where you have sponsored content, almost like, not really like an infomercial, but something, of course, that you approve of, but it's short. And it's not like they're paying for an interview, but it's, again, maybe cannabis-related products that you could have on that's beyond a commercial, because there's a conversation that you have with them and you are interviewing them. So I was thinking about that. And then there actually, I graduated with a really brilliant. We were in two different disciplines, but she's really brilliant, and her name is Shonda Macias, and she's really big in the cannabis world. So she has her PhD in chemistry, and she's brilliant. So I was thinking about trying to see if I could reach out to her, and maybe there's some way. I don't know. Maybe you already know Shonda, but maybe there's some way or something that you guys could brainstorm about that might help with that, because I know she knows a lot of people. She's really big on the cannabis scene. And
I don't know her. Thank you. And I love meeting scientists. I've been meeting more scientists, women across the country, because this is a big deal. This is a big part of the industry. But yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you.
oh, fantastic. Yeah, and I know she's really involved with some of the groups that are women in cannabis, etc. So yeah, just back channel me, and I'll make sure that I reach out to Shonda and that you all get connected somehow, because there could be some synergy there. And then finally, I was thinking about like something what John said. Basically, that's like borrowing somebody else's audience. So your reach gets expanded when you borrow other people's audiences by having them as guests, as John said, as Judy said. And one other thing that if you want to take this to another platform as well, that would also start to help your podcast. Also, if you did like an IG live series now, or YouTube or whatever, but IG live has a lot of reach. So if you did an IG live series and you said you're going to do a series of 6 dealing with a particular topic at within cannabis, and you did a series of 6, and you reached out to the these people that you wanted to sponsor this, and you told them, just similar to what John said, I have XYZ guests coming up, and the reach for this is like 3 million or whatever. Because it's also going to be seen, that's very helpful. But podcasts are big, but so is video. So if you can find a way to tandem on the podcast, cross-platform, and I say IG Live because IG Live has a lot of reach. So I just wanted to put that out there and for you, Joyce. And then finally, really quickly, my tip in terms of, like crisis or whatever we were talking about, but I don't think crisis is the right word, but challenges. I don't like clutter and stuff around, so I have a tendency to clear things very quickly, sometimes before I've had a chance to review what it is. And I do the same thing sometimes with video. Now, usually I'm really good about not deleting things, but for some reason, this particular day, I was like, I don't want it. I was running out of space everywhere, and I'm like, I need to delete things, and I deleted something that I needed. What do you do in that case? Well, there's not a whole lot that you can do. You have to take what you have and see what you can create out of what you have. But luckily, this also goes back to being well planned ahead of time. What I didn't realize is that I don't just arbitrarily get rid of things. I always usually save stuff to the cloud first. So what I forgot is that I did that because it had been so long since I worked with that footage. So I went to my cloud, and guess what? There it all was. It wasn't on my hard drive anymore. It wasn't on my SD card, but it was in the cloud. So it goes to say that before you get rid of anything, think. But also, if you can, as soon as you finish shooting your footage, as soon as you get finished shooting your video, store it someplace else. Like, just take the time and make that part of that production time and store it someplace else. That way, you can avoid the challenges of being hasty and getting rid of things. And I am complete. Thank you.
Man, Dr. Tachi, you were bringing it today, and I appreciate that you like my little buddy here, my little Michael Jordan. But
I do. He's wonderful.
Thank you. Great tips, Joyce. Do you any of your podcasters, are you using Amazon Associates? I'm thinking that you like, and I'm thinking for marijuana-based products. I don't know that Amazon has that stuff or not, but or guests that were on your show. Could you use any associates? Could you share their books, share their links? But if you were using Amazon Associates, you would get paid if somebody bought it. If you were talking about the best cannabis cream to use on the show, and you put that in the show notes or something, and you use that link, then you could get paid. You would get paid on it later on. Same with anybody here that's having authors on. If you were using Amazon Associates and you had an author on and you shared you can go in, get a link to their book, you put it in the show notes. If somebody bought it based on that, you would get paid off of it. So I think that's to my point earlier, low hanging fruit. Hey, hold on here. We're going to get around. So here's what happens here. Just so anybody doesn't know it, not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every week. We tackle all these subjects. We get a couple conversations started, and then we go left to right, basically based on who came up and stuff like that. Unless there's an expert or somebody's flashing that has a question, like, I don't know jack about podcasting, so I'm not your expert on podcasting. So that's why we turn to John or Julie or Dr. Tachi, so or whoever. So Prof T, what do you got? You got a tip for us, a question? Drop some knowledge, my friend.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, guys. Yeah, you guys, it is chilly in Philly. This is Prof T from Philly, where it's chilly. Actually, I had to put my heat on today. Come on, we're almost in May. Where's the sunshine? It's time to go out and be out in the fresh air. I love the topic. I'm not an expert on podcasting, but I am an expert on Prof T. And I know that I had a podcast show during COVID. I started this little thing on my computer on Zoom. May I introduce you? And I just pretty much was interviewing my friends who were in business, because I didn't want to see my friends go out of business because nobody was doing business. So I had a cute little fun thing going, and it was fun, and it turned into an actual podcast. And here's what I know. I love podcasts, but I don't like doing them. I had so much time invested in, you have to find the garage to park your podcast. You got to pay for that. You got to pay people to edit it. If you want good quality, you got to pay people that can offer good quality. I had people wanting to be on my show, and, it's difficult to manage all of those moving parts. And so I realized that I like being a guest on podcasts. And I found that it helped me to craft my art better, more succinct in my talking, helped me with my branding. So I felt so good doing that, because I believe that, I'm going to say this, and some people may not agree, but if you're doing something that you love and you're not getting paid for it, it's called a hobby. So go ahead and keep doing your hobby, but find something that you do that you can sink your teeth into and be paid your worth. You are paid what you are worth based on what you think you are worth. And I'm still learning that. And I'm going to land with this. Pennsylvania is still one of the states that is not legalizing marijuana. I have several friends who are in the business, looked into it for years. It's a hard business to be in, depending on what state you're in and depending on who you surround yourself with. So, yeah, Joyce, I have somebody I'm going to connect you with just to brainstorm, and maybe that can be some synergy there for you. But Prof T, that's all I have. Take care, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to share the stage, and I hope this was, a little bit of value. Thanks. Back to you.
All right, I just want to say thank you. Like, this was not supposed to be like, how do we help Joyce today? But I totally appreciate everyone. So thank you.
Joyce, it's how do we help people every week? That's the whole thing. So it's this week you're getting the brunt of it right now, but that's the whole reason we do this, is to help ourselves learn, but help everybody who comes here learn too. So that's kind of the whole point. And Prof T, did you have something you wanted to tack on there? No. So I wanted to say one other thing.
My apologies.
Oh, no. It's all good. It's all good. All good. So Prof T was talking about, people will pay you what you believe you're worth. So coming from television, I spent most of my career as a freelancer. So I was an independent contractor going from job to job, and I had to, on a very, very regular basis, typically multiple times a year, I had to negotiate my own pay. So I got very used to advocating for myself, setting boundaries for myself, and becoming comfortable telling people what I would tolerate and what I wouldn't tolerate in terms of pay and pay structure and what I was worth. I know that's not true of most people, but it's actually much easier than you think it is, right? You just have to believe that you're worth what you're asking for. And then it all of a sudden it becomes very easy. And people take their cues from you to determine what you're worth paying, right? So yeah, 100%, like set those boundaries, advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, if you won't advocate for yourself, no one's going to advocate for you, right? So make sure you advocate for yourself, decide what you believe your time is worth, then probably up that number because you're probably undervaluing yourself. So decide what you're worth, then add on 20%, right? And then tell people that that's what they have to pay you for your time, right? And people will take that cue from you. So the 20% was an arbitrary thing, but you're probably most of us. What was that, Safa?
Another 10% for taxes, Tom.
Right. But whatever you're valuing your time at, you're probably undervaluing yourself. So bump that number up and set boundaries and be steadfast and advocate for yourself. So I just wanted to share that. Go ahead, Dom.
Tom, I love that message. And we talk contracts and proposals and pitches in here a lot of times, and knowing that, well, what do I need to get this done? What do I need to get it done and make sure I pay myself? What do I need to get this done? And is there miscellaneous things that are going to come up? Miscellaneous time, miscellaneous backs and forth, miscellaneous phone calls, all these things. Well, I could just give it to them. Well, I could just give it to them. Well, you've done this 50 times now or 100 times. You know this is going to happen. You know that everything takes 10% longer. You know, like I'm just hearing, like if that number was 20%, I know I'm under, like everybody here, add 20% to your proposal, because if you knew you were underpricing, from now on, I underprice every bid. So I know as a fact, I'm underpricing, that I'm not accounting for 20%. Well, next time I do a proposal, you should add 20% into that proposal and say, this is accounting for miscellaneous things that I haven't been bidding. But I think what is also just important is knowing that somebody's going to come back to you and say, will you do it? Like Tom gave me a number one day to get in the door with Tom. It was X amount of dollars. So if somebody came and said, well, could you do it for $1,000 less? Well, no, and that's what you got to know. At what point is that hard point where I'm walking away? And so many people would say, well, I can do it. I won't make any money. I'll do this one at a loss. Well, now let's be clear here about business. There are times where you need to cut your margins because, hey, it's Christmas time. I don't have as many jobs. Hey, these people paid me. I need to work on cash flow. I need cash flow. Now I need a bigger lump sum. Now I have taxes due. There's a million reasons why but if you understand those reasons, then you can price accordingly. So love that conversation too. So we can talk pricing all day and proposals anytime. Julie Loken, we're going Julie. Then we got Julie. We're to Julie, then Johnny and John. Leslie, go on. What do you got, Julie? Julie Loken.
Well, here I am. And Dom, you're really good with money. Like I can see your brain work, getting to know you better. You are like calculating and crunching numbers in the back of your brain. So I love that. And for so long, I was an advocate for helping everybody that needed help. And does that work? Yeah, but you need a little skin in the game. So I had a conversation with a friend who asked me how much I charged, and I told him, and he's like, oh my God, that's way too low. He's like, you should triple it, you should quadruple it, and make it reoccurring every single month. Our monthly reoccurring revenue is so important. So as I was thinking about this, I'm like, he's totally right. I have years and years of experience. I don't know why I undersell myself. So asked him and his company asked for me to work for them. Brushing his teeth, thinking, oh, I shouldn't have given her this tip, but they ultimately paid me for it, and it's worth trying. And it's not being in that scarcity mindset. I need money. I need money. I need money. That is not how things work. Your business will plummet. Your business will just spiral downward if it's just all about the money. Yes, have value, know your worth, but don't be so focused on the end game monetarily. Focus on your ability to change their world, and I swear it will come. It is just, I know it sounds really broad and vague, but it is something that has worked for me. So I don't know, love to hear your reflections, and if you've ever done that, just really pitch someone the amount that you deserve.
Brilliant, Julie. Thank you
I'm
for
done.
sharing. Go on, Julie. What were you going to say? Yeah, more and
I was
more.
just going to say I dropped the mic. I'm done.
No, you did dropped it. More and more, the confidence grows that you can say, "This is what I can do. I will not do it for less." What you? I remember I used to work for my dad landscaping, and that was where I first learned how to bid jobs. And somebody, I swear I said this, and it probably wasn't the right thing to say, but we were doing some landscape job, and a lot of landscaping depends on what size trees you plant. Like you could plant a foot tree, or you could plant a 20-foot tree. And so somebody would say, "Oh, just do the front of my house." We think it should have, let's just say, I think it should have 6 to 7 foot trees to start. Now, somebody else on a bigger house, they might need 15-foot trees. But let's say this house, 6 to 7 foot trees, plant it, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, they say, let's say I quote them $10,000. They're like, "Nah, that's too much." I'm like, "Okay, well, we could use smaller trees." Okay, 5,000. Well, you could plant the trees yourself. So we drop down. So now I'm at like $1,200. And they were like, "Well, what could you do for half that?" I swear. I said, "Well, as we're driving towards your house, we could throw them off the back of the truck into your front yard. And that's what we could do for that amount of money." You have to know there has to be a limit on what you're able to do and what you won't accept. No, we just can't do it for any less. Hey, clapping. Thank you. So, all right, let's keep this ship rolling, man. Edward, I had a call with Edward the other day. He's the man, not the smartest guys in the room. Question, tip, what do you got for us, Edward?
Hey guys, thank you. And diversification is probably going to help you the most, with the podcast. You need to be on Kick right now is probably having one of the better values at 95 to 5%. I have friends that I network with on a regular basis, and Kick is really a decent platform if you're going to broadcast yourself, as well as Twitch, being part of Club, the IG. You got to diversify when you're on these podcasts, which is massive. And it's all about your network. You invite your friends, people who you associate with, and it just starts to happen. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does start to happen. You'll notice 3 people just entered into your room that you had dinner with 3 weeks ago, or maybe there was an event. And just by adding 1, 2 people, or just getting yourself out there, it starts to make a difference. Broadening your horizons, getting your network bigger and bigger. It's not what you know these days. And I tell this to everybody, it's all about who you know, and just getting yourself out there. Today's kind of a bad day for us. We were going to have our beta open, and we got off yesterday. Our new platform was so crippled over the past 2 weeks, we're unable to open it. And this is a big blow to us because I'm trying to monetize myself, get money back, try to do these things. But I have to keep pushing forward, and I just have to do what we do. And you just have to, Club, this is the first time that I'm in your, second time in your group listening. And last week I really wanted to try and, add in some value to certain people that were actually talking at the time, but I was unable to. But this, today, learning the group, learning how to use the Clubhouse, it's a new device for me, and it's broadening everybody that I meet. So that's kind of all I wanted to add.
Hey, thank you, Ed, and thanks for dropping in some new what was it? Kicker? What was the new? I had not heard. Kickers? What was it?
Kick.com. Yeah, Kick.com is huge.
Okay, Kick.com. Got it, man. Thank
you. Right. Yeah. And, it's a, once you get to about 35 people, I know Greg is in the group today. Thank you, Greg, for showing up.
Thank you. I'm actually sitting in the studio getting ready to go on the air in 20 minutes. And I'm stoked because Ed said it right. Kick. I mean, you got to think about this when you do this. Some of you guys were in TV. you had to go to different cable networks to get that channel on those things. And it's the same thing with platforms. I mean, you have Kick with a 95.5, you have Twitch with a 50-50, you have YouTube with the 60-40, you have Trimo with the 55-45. It's all about, and then there's affiliate marketings. If you're just starting out, there's an affiliate marketing page where advertisers are looking to get their products on you and they're willing to pay you. And as somebody that worked in radio and television for 25 years, and I got into this as a joke, and now I have a full-fledged production studio. And Ed, yesterday we barged San Diego Legion, and we now have them for our other podcast channel as their official fan channel. So it's all about being aggressive, but yet being passive at the same time. Don't focus so much on money. Focus on the content. The money will come. That's the one thing that I've learned about this gig. And YouTube, be very aware of what you say on YouTube. I had 2 channels, one with 17,000 followers and one with 25,000 followers, both deleted because of things that I said. There is an algorithm that watches your words. Twitch and Kick, they have copyright things, but they don't enforce it. And when you look at those 2 channels, depending on what you do, like say the marijuana, on Twitch, there's a lot of marijuana guys that you could raid the channel. Let's say a channel's got 500 people and you raid with 30. Well, you've just made yourself too aware of that circle of people that will go, oh. And then on Kick, they have the same thing, but it's called hosting. And that's how I got to my 75. So I could open my subscription on there, was hosting, taking my group of people to another channel and helping them out. And in turn, they're helping me out. So yeah, it's an interesting game. It's not like TV and radio, but it is, but it isn't. And yeah, I have a lot of fun doing this. This is what I've been doing for a lot of my life. And I met Ed because of a mutual friend of mine. And because of Ed, I increased my circle by at least 100 people, right, Ed?
Yeah, pretty much. I've got so many people interested in what you talk about every day, and they keep coming back to me. It's like, is this for real? This guy is incredible. So it really does help just by meeting a few people. And what did we do? We met in Vegas. We were in the middle of a show, and we went to dinner. And now all of a sudden, I've got 75 to 100 different people that I deal with. You've got another 100 people that you deal with. So it's all about your network.
It is. It's about what you know and then who you know. And then there are people out there like myself that are mentors because of all the experience I have. Like I walked away from a $500,000 job with ABC just because of the actions of certain people there that went against my moral set. And being able to do this and control it, could be overwhelming. But once you realize your format and your content, you'll find sponsors. They're out there. I mean, I lost a big sponsor, and Kick came on board and basically took up the revenue space for losing that sponsor. And then I gained another new sponsor, which was 2 times the amount. So sometimes when one door closes, it opens up, and you don't realize how big that door opens up, because as you do this, you're going to gain levels, you're going to gain experience, you're going to gain all of that continuity. Like Monday for me is my 600th show. And I do it Monday.
There you go, brother.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Hey, okay, my man. Hey, I don't want. Yeah, Satma's giving you. I don't want to.
No, I gotta get out. I got 10 minutes till airtime. But thank you for letting me speak. I'll be in again. Ed, I'll call you later.
Okay, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the tips. Now we got to break down those percentages, figure out what that's all about. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. We're gonna make sure we hit everybody. We're gonna make sure we chat to everybody. We're gonna chat to my friend Leslie. She had my buddy Doc Skolnikoff on, Hollywood Doctor. She had him on her show the other day, and I can't wait to hear it. So, Leslie, what do you got going on?
Hey, I thought we were in a boardroom at 1 minute. First of all, I thank you. And what you're saying regarding monetizing, I think it's the overachiever in me that, as Prof T said, who we did meet, which was awesome last summer. I was thinking to myself, well, I had this amazing guest on, Dr. Skolnikoff. How can I be creative and build that bridge. And some of these really awesome people I'm having as guests, try to connect with them and say, hey, maybe if you have a book, I could mention this and we can work out a deal. Maybe every time I mention your book, I'm paid $10, or do a series of 4, a package of, how many, and that's something, as I'm rambling, I'm trying to figure out, because I want to take this hobby to the next level. And John Wiley knows somebody who is his partner in crime, who I have offline connected with. And I feel like I need a little more of a professional finesse to get me out there, because now that I have these awesome people on, I'm trying to get more people to subscribe and listen, even though I'm on all different platforms, LinkedIn. But my strength is really the public speaking in the health and wellness field. And in that arena, I'm drawing in these amazing guests, but I'm always trying to shift gears, trying to figure this out. How can I take this to the next level, spending hours doing the podcasting, which I love. So just thank you for this platform. And to Dr. Tachi, she was one of my first guests when I really didn't know what I was doing with the glitches of trying to edit and make sure that everything was correct. And she was so gracious and nice and just worked with me when it came to just saying, you know what, it's all right, Leslie, put that out there, you'll get there. So thank you.
Of course, Dr. Tachi is the best. Thank you, Leslie, and thanks for having being so professional. I know Dr. Skolnikoff enjoyed his time with you, so you're the best. And I enjoyed my talks with Leslie the other day. We chatted on the phone. I always try to call people through Instagram, and so people never answer. But when you do, it's so clear, and the picture. Sometimes I have an author in Dubai. Sometimes I call her through video call, and it's clear as can be, man. So crisp. Okay, we are continuing. We got to meet a couple more people before we get out of here today, Tom. See if our friend Heather, Holly, and Annette have any tips or questions. So let's keep on rolling. Got it. Okay, Heather, what do you got for us?
Hey, morning, everyone. I was listening to the conversation about knowing your worth and like how much to ask for pay and all that stuff. And I know you guys have helped me prior in regards to a question like that, because, I was with a client, I'm still with her now. I think we're going on 10 years, next year. And, she, I've known her for a while, and, she wasn't paying me my worth. So you guys definitely helped me to kind of broach the subject with her and, have that conversation. And, it definitely was a good conversation. And I'm not being paid as much as I think I should be, and all my other clients are. But at the same time, there's other opportunities that can come out of it if you do work with somebody for so long. And yeah, the pay is probably should be higher, but at the same time, there's opportunities, the connections, the networking, that can be in itself a form of pay, right? If it's lucrative. So, through referrals and all of that fun stuff. So, but yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, guys, for helping me with that, because and I feel like maybe women sometimes kind of were like, not sure if we should be paid that amount, or we second guess ourselves and question ourselves. Maybe we're not as forceful or as loud as we should be, like my birds, like my birds in the back. But yeah, just want to say thank you. Love you guys.
Heather, glad we could help, and thank you for sharing. And man, get your worth. If we leave this room with anything today, that know your worth. And I really think I don't want to speak for other people, but it saddens me that to see so many women fighting for equality and things like that, and the pay, and go for it, man. You deserve it. And I think there's a lot more supporters out there than you think, advocates, teammates with that don't even know. Sometimes I think people don't even know that. I think they don't know how you feel, right? And they don't know maybe what's happening out there. So get what you deserve. Ask for what you deserve. You deserve it. Hey, Prof T, you flashed off. Then we're going to go Prof T, Holly, then Annette. Go on.
Thank you. Yeah, I just love the topic. And it's, we all face that every day. We have to talk to ourselves. But I do want to just mention on the flip side of course, we get paid what we're worth, because, when I go to Acme and I get up to the cash register and I have $200 worth of groceries, but I only have $40, I'm not going to be able to take the groceries home. So I think we have to remember that it works. That's commerce. That's the beauty of living in a country where we can charge what we want, what we think we're worth. But here's what I want to say real quick. We all in this room I do know many people in this room who do stuff, volunteer. We all have our areas in our local communities where we give of our time, of ourselves. We volunteer. I speak for free on many occasions at different places, depending on the topic and depending on the location. So never underestimate the power of offering your time and your resources and your expertise to make the human race a better place. However, always remember that there is money out there to be made, and there are communities, organizations that are looking to hire people, to pay people to come in and help. That's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you. Back to you, Tom and Dom.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof T. And I think Heather was going down that same line too, that sometimes there is a value in, besides for doing the world a world of good. Like, I mean, if you can do that, wow, we win at the end of the day. But sometimes there's a value in going places, and well, maybe it was because you did something for free. Well, it wasn't really for free because you networked, or it wasn't really for free because I remember early on somebody would ask me to, once I started speaking more, somebody would ask me to come somewhere, and I'd be like, yeah, but I'm not doing 2 hours or an hour. I'll do 15 minutes. I'll do a half hour. I'm going to do my own material. I'm going to practice. You have to have somebody take pictures of me. All these different things that were, well, maybe on those times I wasn't getting paid. Well, you got to let me sell books afterwards. You got to let me put up a booth. You have to let me. So there was all those different ways. My favorite was when I'd ask them, well, you got to have somebody take pictures. Okay. Well, then I had cool pictures for the next 5 years because they didn't pay me, but they took pictures. Okay. There's so many ways. Did you really monetize? Well, not necessarily, but if after, I remember when I did so I'm going to pause here for a second. Authors. There's chambers of commerces, there's business groups, there's morning groups, there's networking groups, there's after hours group, there's retirees. They all meet once a month, once a week, the breakfast club, this club. I spoke at every one of them for 100-mile radius and took my books and set up after I did. They'd bring you in, you'd speak for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was, sometimes 10. I'd ask them, can I sell my books afterwards? I'd leave there. I sold 10 books. 10 books. It isn't a lot of books. 10 books. I made $200. It was 20 minutes. Really, maybe an hour. They'd buy you breakfast or something. There's so many opportunities out there. You just have to be creative opportunities. Well, maybe it's not monetizing the way you thought you were going to monetize it. Maybe it's that Amazon, I'm looking at it right now, this Amazon Associates. Maybe it's using Amazon Associates and figuring out, well, if I could make 20 cents 10 times a day, now I am monetizing it. So sorry, that's for somebody said earlier, a whole nother day, baby. We could talk about that. So, okay, we're going to meet Holly and Annette, and then Tom's going to do what he does. But hold on. I see Tom flashed off. I can see 10 people on the screen right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I see 14. One of them's Tom, and he was flashing. Go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to something that Heather said right at the end there, which was talking about kind of communicating clearly. Here's what it made me think of. I don't remember exactly what Heather said now, but here's what popped into my head. Right, was that it's really important to communicate clearly to other people the impact that their actions are having on you. Right, we're talking about like letting people know your worth, right, and advocating for yourself. The other thing you have to remember is that it may be a natural inclination that people will negotiate with you, right? If that is a problem for you, right? Or if you're not happy with what they're offering you, you have to say something. You cannot assume that they know and assign motivations to what they're saying, right? Don't make assumptions. Don't assign motivations, right, to what they're doing. They may mean nothing by it, right? It may just, in their minds, it may just be the normal course of doing business. They may negotiate with everybody. They may come from a business or a position where everybody automatically negotiates with them, right? So they do the same to other people. It doesn't have to be malicious, right? It doesn't have to be about trying to rip you off. It doesn't have to be about trying to get more than they're paying you for, right? It could just be that that's their style of communication. So don't assign motivation to it, right? Don't assign, don't presume that you know what they're thinking, right? Just communicate openly. And if you don't want to negotiate, tell them that, right? Tell them what your bottom line is. No, like when we were talking to Dom, when Dom and I were talking and I told him the number, I'll say it out loud because I don't, it is what it is, right? I tell this to everybody. Most projects with me, there are some exceptions to this, right? Because there are exceptions to every rule. But most projects with me, in order to get started with my company, we typically are at about $5,000 and up, right? That's sort of the entry point for us to work on a project with somebody. Now, that is going to price me out of some people, right? And that's fine. That is what it is. If somebody turned around and said, well, I've only got $2,000 to do a project that I'm quoting $5,000 for, I'm going to say, look, I'm really sorry, but that's not going to work for me. But I'll try to help connect them with somebody that is in their price point or that can maybe help them in that range, right? They're not going to get my 20 plus years of experience in production, right? They're not going to get my network and the talented folks that I work with, right? But I can help them find a solution that fits their budget. So it's just about communicating openly. I have no problem saying no if somebody doesn't align with my pricing, right, to work with my company. And so I think it's just a matter of doing that, saying that out loud, saying, look, that's not going to work for me. But and here's what I always do. I say, but let me try to help you find somebody who does fit your pricing, right? Who does fit your budget, who may be able to help. I always try to offer value no matter what. Right. At the end of the day, I want everybody to come away from interacting with me and my business feeling like they've benefited from it, right? In some way, shape, or form. So that's all I was saying is like, don't assign motivations or motives to other people. Just communicate openly and don't be afraid to say no if it doesn't line up. And they may turn around and say, okay, well then what does line up, right? You never know unless you speak up, right? So just do that. It's that simple. Just do that. Just do it. Just somehow I turned it into a Nike commercial. Anyway, Dom, back to you. I'm done rambling.
That's all right. You're doing good. I want to say that love how much everybody's been contributing to the conversation today. That's what we want, man. I know I don't have it, man. That's why after like you're going to see here in a couple minutes that I only got so much to give. That's why at the end of each week, I'm like, Tom, you got it, man. So you wrap us up because it takes all of us to have this conversation to know about podcasting, to know about contracts, to know about those splits. I got to grab my thesaurus or something, Google to figure out what those guys were talking about, but we need to know. So, okay, we're going to meet two more people. We're going to meet Holly and Annette, see if they got a question or a tip. And then Tom is going to take us home while I hang out with my little friend, Michael Jordan. Okay, Holly, what do you got for us?
Hey, Dominick. I have not been on enough to really get the gist of excuse me, the conversation to be able to
Hey,
add.
hold on, Holly. Then what you can give us at any time, you share a tip. Give us any tip that you have, because you're a creative person, you're an editor, a storyteller. Do you have a tip for us?
Oh gosh, like a wide open suggestion here. You know, I guess I do. You know, thinking about what you do, whatever it may be, I think one of the most important things is to be present, kind of like Tom was just talking about, and try to add value to people, even if you can't give them what they're asking for. So being present and really listening to what they need, you can help them in some way, even if it's not exactly what they're asking for. So I guess that would be my tip for today.
Thank you, Holly. And since Johnny said it before, and Holly, any conversation I have, I always benefit from my time with Holly. Holly, what's the name of your podcast?
It is Teaching Yourself to Learn.
Teaching Yourself to Learn. So one of the things that I would say here, and if I don't say, I should say this, somebody remind me next week, every 20 minutes or so. And I think I changed these to houses, and it automatically made the rooms. It just said you could push reoccurring. So now I don't have to set it up every 3 weeks or so and forget about it. But next week, somebody remind me every 20 minutes or so to say, connect with the person left to the right of you. Like Johnny said before, check out Joyce's podcast. Can a Mom, check it out, you know, and connect with people, follow them on Instagram, see what they're into. Hey, I'm going to get one more thing. It's not hard to like somebody's content. Nobody's judging you because you push a heart or a like or a share. It's okay. You don't be stingy with those hearts, likes, and loves. And give some people some love that you met on here. Connect with them. See what they're into. Watch one of their shows. Connect them with somebody. Okay, now I'm off my soapbox, and now we are going to chat with Annette. What do you got, Annette? Do you have a tip or a question for us? Go on, Annette.
I was just listening. First of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your contributions. Every time I come here, whenever I get a chance to, and I try to get here as often as I can, it's always a wealth of knowledge, and you know, I appreciate that. I was looking at, by the way, my podcast, a lot of the information has helped me a lot with my upcoming podcast that I'll be starting in a couple of weeks. But I was looking at my statistics for one of my platforms, social media, and I was looking at the different statistics, and you know, how much people have I been reaching, and the impressions and engagement, and of course the followers, the new followers or whatever that I've gained. And my question is that, for instance, like I had 19.7K that I reached, but I was down 17%. Is there any tips that you guys can give that may help me to bring up that, and any other tips that you can give on podcasting, because this will be my first podcast that I start coming up. And although I have been publicly speaking and doing things in, you know, on the stage for most of my life, I've never had my own podcast. I've been on podcasts and I hosted them with other people, but you know, this is my first one. So any tips you could give me on that will help as well. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, if anybody wants to handle that, a tip to a new podcaster, somebody that wants to, they're looking at their analytics. What do they need to know? Dr. Tachi, John, any tips for somebody like that?
Be consistent. It's a lot. And if you want to do this, you know, have a good process. Yeah, you know, treat it like any other thing you're going to be doing. You need your procedures in place. You need to know what you're going to do every day. And then when you're doing it, when you're talking to that person, be in the moment and really enjoy it, because that is the fun part. But just make sure it's like this preparation. You know, make sure your future self is happy because your past self does enough preparation. But yeah, have fun, enjoy it. It's a great way to connect with people and I don't know, use your own voice and change the conversation. That's my 2 bits.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Joyce. And earlier, Prof T mentioned that you don't necessarily have to always have the podcast. You could be a guest as well and meet so many new people and get out to these new worlds and new circles and things like that. So there's value in that as well. Okay, we are meeting 2 new people. Not necessarily. I like this. Big Papa. Yeah. Okay, we got Big Papa. Drop a tip, ask a question, and our buddy Brian Swift's going to leave us with a tip or a question. Big Papa, what do you got for us?
Hey, how's everybody doing this morning?
We're rolling, man. We're glad you're here, man. Look, he's dressed up. Is this you, Big Papa? You're dressed in a suit. It says voiceover artist, actor. I want to use my special gift. You do got a good voice. So go on, man. You got a question or a tip for us?
Well, actually, my question was just answered by the young lady before. I had the same question as Annette. I'm new to podcasting. I just started a few months ago. I'm trying to figure out how to build up my following and be effective. You know what I'm saying? So being consistent, I know is a great thing. I have to work on that. I have to be consistent. I have my procedures down. I have all that together, just being consistent and being diligent about getting it done. So thank you for that tip.
Hey, no problem, my friend. Anybody? John, you got a tip for come on, give these new podcasters a tip. I need you, man. I'm calling favor, man.
The number one thing, this is the most important thing. And consistency is important. All that stuff's important. It's not about you. It's not even about your guest. It's for the listener. Create a show for the listener to consume. Get their interest. Get their attention. And so let's just say you knew a ditch down show that is appealing to a certain demographic of the population. You want to get as much of that as you can. Don't make it so small that, for example, pay particular attention to your titles. Start with your first 2 or 3 words as heavily searched keywords or power words that apply to your show that we know people are searching for. And design the whole show about you, not meaning you, the podcaster, and not you, the guest, but you, the listener. That's the most important person in the room. Those are the ones who will make or break you. When you start doing that, and it takes a while, when you start doing that, your show will start to grow. If you have a show that's all about me, you can go ahead and promote it everywhere, and people are focused on me, and not you, and they're not going to make a decision to listen to your show and give up their time unless they think they're getting something out of it. So remember, it's a transactional relationship. The most important thing you can do is appeal to the needs of your listener. Thank you.
Yeah, you got a cash from Sat, but hey, John, I didn't have to call in a favor for that. I can still use that some other time, or did I?
Oh yeah, man, you're good.
Okay, good. That's what I need. I like to add those up, and then someday I'll call John and be like, I need this. He's gonna be like, oh shit. Okay, we got to meet Brian Swift and our friend Julie. Hey, hold on, Dr. Tachi. Do you want to add something there?
Oh, I didn't mean to come off the mic, but yeah, I will add really quickly. So I would say to the new podcasters, ask yourself, why should anybody else listen to your podcast above somebody else's? So why would I listen to you rather than somebody else who's talking about the same thing? So you have to know where you fit in the space, where the gaps are in the space, and then where you fit and where your knowledge fits in the space. And I think that's kind of a good sweet spot. I'm complete.
I think that's a perfect addition, Dr. Tachi. And I think here's what popped into my head was listening to John give his more than 2 cents, his $20 worth, right? Because John is an expert when it comes to this, and when it comes to creating content that people want to listen to. You have to always lead with value. And what I was thinking of was a quote from the famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, from Dale Carnegie, right? Dom is raising his hands, raising the roof. He loves that book. If you, in that book, Carnegie talks about how most people spend 95% of their time thinking about themselves, right? And that is 100% true of your audience as well. So if you're creating content for an audience, you have to create content that they find value in, right? That they value, right? Here's Dom holding up his copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Dale Carnegie. So just remember that they're going to be thinking about themselves, right? So you have to resist the tendency to think about yourself and think about them instead. Put them first and lead with value. Make sure you're leading with value in the content that you create for your audience. They come first. It's the same. It's true in podcasting. It's true in radio. It's true in video production. It's true in public speaking. It's all about them. It's not about you. It's about your audience. It's not about you, right? So just make sure you're always creating value for them. Next up, our friend, Brian Swift. Brian, what do you got to add to the conversation today, my friend?
Well, hello, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great day. So I guess I have a question for everybody, and I guess it's clarity, trying to create clarity on why are you starting the podcast? Ultimately, what is your goal? Is it to monetize? Is it to serve? Is it to create a I don't know, create a group? What is your real reason for starting a podcast? I don't know, we can start with Dom or whoever. I'd be curious to see what people's true reason is.
Swifty, for me, man, everything I do, I'm just trying to share inspiration, positivity, smiles, man. I just believe there's so many people out there with good stories, messages, and if I can help add a little bit of levity, smiles, whatever to the world, then that's my mission, man. And then to your, if I could figure out how to make a buck doing that, I look at my dad, it's his birthday today, 81 years old, still landscaping 6 days a week, still loves it. If I can do something that I love and figure out how to make a dollar from it as well, and not because I'm trying to rip people off or something, just because I love doing it. What if I could do it more? What if I could do it longer? What if I could feed my family doing something I love? Well, then I'm all in, man. So that's my answer, Swifty. Anybody else want to give Brian an answer why they started? Jamie, why you do what you do, or you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to see what you said. Just tip on what you said. That's how I feel. Just getting through it, finding something to support my family. But I used to be a psychiatric aide. I don't tell a lot of people that I've a university degree in nursing, but I ended up being a psych aide in mental health instead. I wanted to be on the floor. Well, that's fast forward. It's been many years now, and I got hurt. I can't do that. So I'm on here. I when I speak, I come with my Bachelor of Science of Nursing. And I'm really proud of it. I just never got to be the RN because trying to pass the NCLEX with a disability was very hard in the 90s and 2000s. So, I didn't know how to prepare but I did learn. And that's how I come with what I know because I've struggled. I've gone to school. I was lucky to find the good books to teach me things with the proper education, especially about the mental health. And I like being here for mental health. I came here for voiceover first. And I want to make money with voiceover, but I want to make someone's life better if I can just help them brush their hair that day. Because sometimes that's the hardest thing. I used to help people get up in the morning. Like I'd be on the unit going and knocking on doors, waking them up in the morning. So, I can be pretty chipper. Some of you guys have heard me when I'm not so calm. So, if anybody needs to reach out, I really do love just chatting and supporting. And these guys, when I was working for free, they would give me crap. And I said no. And, Joyce, I can't wait to do more podcasts with you. I'm a Canadian. You guys can put that all together. And I'm an advocate for everything. So I appreciate you, Dom and Tom, and everyone here. But that's just my little point there. Thanks, guys.
Go on, Annette, and then we'll get him. Holy cow! Go on, Annette, and then we'll talk to Julie.
I was the reason why I'm starting a podcast because I've been asked to start one for many years, and I intended to eventually, but I procrastinated. I wish to do what I do anyway. Naturally, I uplift, encourage, and inspire others to live their best lives, whatever that is to them. And I do it, by stimulating conversations, and I intend to have guests on that stimulate those vibrations in our soul. When you're doing those things that make your heart feel joy, and when you're learning information that about different things that stimulate you and give you a higher vibration, it changes your trajectory. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank you so much for the question and giving me a chance to answer.
Hey, thank you, Annette. And don't mind me, because sometimes, as the title of our room states, not the smartest guys in the room, sometimes I struggle to get my mic off. Sometimes I put somebody down in the audience that was already talking. Sometimes I forget to do any of the things that I should be doing. So don't blame me. Don't blame me. You can blame Tom. Okay, Julie, first, why did you start your podcast? And then secondly, leave us with a tip, and then Tom's going to wrap us up. And look at Michael Little Jordan here. He's clapping on what a lovely room it was today. So Julie Rock, what do you got for us?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I started my podcast, number one, to honor my father's life and legacy. It's the name of my book, Stay on Course. It is the name of my podcast. I launched it on one of the anniversaries of my father's passing. And so that's the why behind the why. And then, of course, I have two other reasons for it. One of them is that I'm using it to develop some very interesting relationships with thought leaders, and I learn from them every time I talk to them. But at the end of the day, it's for the audience, and that audience are corporate executives that would like to learn something new, a different angle on things, and to just get some ingredients for success for their life and their work. And so those are the few reasons. And then what I realized as I'm doing it is there's a little bit of a selfish reason I have, is because every time I get someone new on the podcast, I learn something so amazing from each person. And so I'm learning through this whole process. I'm becoming a better human and a better interviewer, and also a better person that can just kind of like turn it on when I need to, that I don't need to prepare anything, that I'm just kind of like ready all the time to speak. And so it's done so many great things. And so one tip that I would say is be mindful of your energy when you're on the podcast, and pay a lot of attention to listening more than talking, because when you listen at deeper levels, the next right question will present itself to you. And so I think that's a really important thing, is if you're not doing a lot of preparation for it, all you need to do is be present. Be present to the present, be present in the moment. The next right question will appear when the time is right. So thank you for allowing me to speak today here. I love your room. Thanks.
Julie Rock, thank you, man. That would have been great if I had like a power pause there after to prove I was listening, but that was just unintentional on my part. But thank you. Be present. Great message. Way to share that. And as we wrap up, what a thing to think about today. Whatever you're doing this week, whatever you're doing when you're walking with your wife, I should not get caught reading text from clients. I should be 100% present. When I'm at the game, I shouldn't be thinking about, when I'm at lacrosse, I shouldn't be thinking about these other things. Be present. So do what you can do to be present. Hold on here. So, wow, Tom, we got Triple J was up here. He came back. So Tom, we're going to go to Triple J for a tip. Triple J, we're about to close this room up, but I saw you up here earlier. And like I was just saying, I could have messed something up, and but I typically am going in order. But maybe you left the room and came back. But anyway,
Oh, no, you're good, buddy. I left and came back.
Okay, you got a tip for us? Tip or a question? Go on.
I don't have any tips. I'm just getting started with all of this myself. But I do have a question. Someone mentioned to me last time about using GarageBand to make a template for my podcast. I cannot figure out how to do this. I'm very frustrated. So is there anybody that can help me, or is there a simpler way? I'm using this service that's called Altitude right now, and it has my intro and outro, and then I just plug in my episode in the middle. But if there's someone that can help me, that's fine. But if not, I can just keep using their service too. So.
I mean, I would suggest there's 100 different ways to tackle this, right? There are all kinds of different programs available. I would say YouTube is your friend, right? I think this is one where you got to hop on, do some research. I don't have any specifics that I use the Adobe suite of software. When it comes to editing audio and editing podcasts, I use Adobe Audition. I use Adobe Premiere Pro for video editing. I use them in conjunction with After Effects to create a lot of my projects. So that's what I use, but those are not great tools for somebody who's not familiar with that suite of programs and not familiar with nonlinear editing, and it's something that there's a steep learning curve for. So I would say YouTube is your friend. Like best, I would just start looking up videos on reviews of different podcast editing platforms and software programs, and I would definitely go about it that way. I mean, I don't know if anybody has a particular one they want to endorse, but I would start digging around, seeing what pops up and seeing what you can find and what seems like an easy piece of software to use. And then I would try using a couple of different ones and see which one I like best. But that's kind of how I usually approach those kind of things when I'm looking for a new way to skin a cat, so to speak. But there's going to be 100 different ways to do it. So I think it's something you're going to have to spend some time doing some research and figuring out what works best for you. Because what works for me, or Dr. Tachi, or Dom, or Julie Loken, or John, or anybody else in here may not be what works best for you. So I think your use case is unique. That's what I would look at. Big Papa in the chat just says he uses Audacity, and Final Cut for videos. But so it just really depends on what works best for you. I would do a little YouTubing, do a little YouTube research, fall down that rabbit hole.
All right. Hey, okay. Tom, this is I was meeting a bunch of people the other day, and they were standing behind my car. There was like 10 people talking, standing behind my car, and I was talking to them. And then I said, all right, it's time to go. And I moved everybody from behind my car. And my wife was like, well, that was rude. But that's it. It's time. It's an hour and 24 in, and I got to get a book cover across town to one of my cover designers. So Tom, take us home, my friend. I got nothing left for us. I love except love. So go on, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks everybody for being here this week. Thank you, Dom, for being my partner in crime here and keeping this room moving, keeping us moving through this room, left to right, top down, as we always do, making sure we give everybody who comes up on stage a chance to chat, ask a question, drop a tip, share some knowledge. As we always say, here's what I want to leave you guys with this week. We're talking about just getting started in a bunch of different things, how to create content, and all of this stuff revolves around being innovative, I think, right? Because none of us want to copy something that's already been done. We all want to come up with something new. But I think it's important that we know what innovation really is, right? Innovation is not the creation of something brand new that the world has never seen before, right? It doesn't come from new ideas. And I'm going to credit this to the two co-founders of Bombas Socks, David Heath and Randy Goldberg. This is a quote of theirs that I really like from an interview they did on a podcast on how I built this. And what they said was, innovation doesn't come from new ideas. It comes from the refinement and creative up-leveling of old ideas. right? So don't feel like you have to create something new, right? Don't feel like you have to create something that the world has never seen before, right? Innovation is all about taking what already exists and putting a new spin on it, using it in a novel way, right? That's what innovation is all about. And that's what I think we should be looking to do with the content we create, with the stories we tell. That's what my whole last weekend was spent doing with these amazing folks up at MIT, at a healthcare hackathon, working on ways to innovate creative solutions for problems in the healthcare industry. I was incredibly inspired coming out of that. And so I just wanted to leave everybody with that today. Innovation is all about the creative up-leveling of old ideas, right? So take some old ideas, creatively up-level them, right? Create something new out of things that already exist, right? And be prepared to fail the first time around, the second time around, the third time around. Fail fast, fail often, right? Learn from those failures, iterate and improve, and you'll find that you'll come up with something amazing. So that's what I have for everybody today. That's what I will leave you with. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you as always. We love you guys. You guys are the reason why we do this room. And we will be back here, Dom and I, holding down our place as not the smartest guys in the room next Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. We will see you then. Thanks, everybody. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye now.